Good morning, everybody. It's your girl Miracle Sims, and you're listening to God, Sex, and Love. Your daily dose of inspiration, the juice. It is September the 16th, 2021, and today the topic is boundaries. Friends, well, good morning. I will start things off by saying happy anniversary to my wonderful husband. Um, Shout out to our 5-year anniversary on today. Um, it is a blessing um, to be married to such a wonderful and supportive gentleman. And yeah. On one hand, I was thinking to myself earlier, I was like, oh, I couldn't have asked for someone better. But I'm like, well, I think I did ask. I think I was very clear with the Lord on what I wanted. Um, those of y'all that know my story know that. But even so, obviously God does above and beyond what we think, and everything like that. And so, in human form, this gentleman named Dario says is, as some people I guess would say, like a manifestation of so many prayers and things that I've had over the years. And so here we are at our 5-year anniversary, and to God be the glory, man. To God be the glory. So, yeah. But aside from that, y'all, y'all may notice that it is a little late for me. Um, I am recording a little bit after the time that I usually do. However, I'm here, I'm here to give you all, give you all the juice and everything like that. Um, I guess it just took me a while. One, we was talking, so hubby and I was talking, and then after that, I spent quite a while just really thinking about like different things and what I wanted to talk about, but as well as just like what I'm observing, y'all. Because on one hand, to be completely honest, it's like I feel like I am not fully understanding what I'm observing in regards to in fellow believers. Let's just be honest. I'm really not understanding fully what I'm observing. Um, Now, on one hand, I guess the Bible does mention, like, I guess the great falling away and people being led astray and all types of things like that. So, maybe that's what it is, but I don't know. I guess I'm praying for more wisdom and understanding in that aspect. However, um, I guess long story short, this idea of boundaries. There's a few things that inspired this topic today, but and one I'm not sure if I want to go deep into. Um, yeah. I do want to share with you guys, I guess, what happened yesterday. Y'all know that I had another interview with Speaking Grace TV. So I will let you all know when it will air. I heard it might air next week. Speaking of, these are the same ladies that are going to be on my show this week. Tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken. Uh, because today's Thursday. So tomorrow they will be on my show, the ladies of Speaking Grace TV. Um, tomorrow at 7. If the Lord's will, it should play on our Facebook and on our YouTube and everything like that. But yeah, lovely conversation with them again. It just really feels as if I'm just talking to the ladies or, just friends and almost family or whatever the case is, just talking to sisters. That's how it feels like when I'm talking to them. And so, um, obviously I feel like the conversation was just really natural and just really, hopefully informative. And it's amazing because like when I'm talking to them, they make me feel like I'm an expert at whatever we're talking about. And it's not that I feel like I am or something. I pretty much just share my experiences and share, what God has done with me, through me, and for me in my lifetime. And that's all that I really can speak on, but um, I'm just saying overall, it just feels nice and feels good to talk to those ladies. So, but you'll see tomorrow with them being on my show. You'll get a chance to see them. If you did not see our interaction already, when I visited their platform a few months ago, and we were talking about love. So, but Anywho, so this talk about boundaries, man, like, goodness gracious. Okay. Like, okay, so I feel like this is something that uh I've encountered, multiple times in my life, this issue when it comes to boundaries. I've had people tell me that, I was allowing people to cross certain boundaries, and things like that. I mean, maybe I just didn't necessarily look at it that way at the time when I was going through certain situations, but at the same time, it was like, I guess as I learn and grow and, get older and things like that, you start to kind of clearly see how sometimes people cross the line, uh, cross lines that they shouldn't, and this thing talking about like one particular person. This is just throughout my life. I feel like I've this has been a constant, um, issue, I guess you would say. Um, and I feel like, well, from my understanding, it seems as if those people that, I guess are like me, or maybe that are seen as meek or whatever, it's like, sometimes people feel the need or feel like it's okay to cross certain lines and boundaries, um, that they wouldn't personally want crossed, right? Like you wouldn't want me to cross the boundary with you, but you feel comfortable to cross the boundary with me. Um, so, and this can be for a lot of different things, a lot of different topics, obviously. But I mean, I would say in this season, social media and all these different things, um, you know, I guess I could kind of see it happening, in multiple ways, right? Now, some people, hey, granted, let's just put, something on the table. Maybe for some reason, someone may feel like I am crossing a line or a boundary by talking about the Bible, right? Maybe somebody feels that way in their mind or something like that. But again, I feel like context is important. I feel like delivery is important. I feel like I don't know. Like, I don't know if it's the same. You know what I'm saying? Like, me being on my quote unquote platform talking about what I want to talk about, how is that crossing a line for someone else on their platform? Like, you can be on your platform talking about what you want to talk about, right? Now, if I come to your platform and talk about whatever, then maybe I could be crossing the line, but it depends on, what you're putting out there and stuff like that, right? So in this idea again of social media and everything like that, it does get kind of iffy a little bit on boundaries, because it's like, okay, well, you can't feel like no one can respond to you, right? If you're putting yourself out there, or you're putting your thought out there online for everybody to see, you can't expect for someone not to respond, to something they see. Now, some may not, like I shared with you guys the other day. Someone like me, I might just, okay, I'll see what you said. And if maybe I agree, maybe if I don't agree, maybe I'll comment, maybe I won't. Um, and that's something like that. But when those type of conversations um take place, like I guess in your real life, I mean, sometimes people have that issue when it comes to marriage, right? Sometimes people have that issue when it comes to friendships, when it comes to different relationships, and everything like that. And so at some point you have to set boundaries and stick to your boundary, and people, we just need to understand that at the end of the day, regardless of how we think and feel about someone else and their and whatever um issue it may be, it's like we have to understand that, people, I know my mom say all the time, and I know she's been joking about it a lot lately. And I know she said it even yesterday. We were talking about a future book project and whatnot. She mentioned like, oh well, well, you don't have to take my advice or whatever, whatever, whatever. And and I guess my whole thing is, I appreciate that, because I mean, at least she knows that, okay, I can make my own decision at the end of the day about what I would like to do, and it's not necessarily an issue. Um, and everything like that. But unfortunately, everybody don't feel like that, right? Some people feel like people should do what they want them to do. But one thing that I noticed, even when I was looking into Genesis, I want to say that was last week, and I know I heard another minister. I want to say I heard someone say it yesterday, a minister or someone, that basically we don't have the authority. Like, God gave us authority of a lot of stuff, right? But authority over another human is something that He didn't necessarily give. Um, now, I do recall there being things like, you know, God, the husband over the wife over the children, and so on. Now, I will acknowledge that, you know what I'm saying? However, outside of that, you know, that's why all these things are an issue that are happening. Like, that's why there's an issue when it comes to you know, the way that slavery was done. You know, there comes an issue where, you know, anybody that feels as if they need to dictate to someone anything, really, because God gave us all free will to do what it is we want to do. Even, unfortunately, the things that are evil and bad, like, you are free to do those things. However, it's clear in the word that, you know, not all things that we're free to do we should do. You know, y'all can look up what the actual verse says, but it basically says things along those lines of, like, you know, basically everything is lawful. Yeah, you can do it, but that don't mean you should. And that's the thing. But again, I say unfortunately, because, you know, like, unfortunately, we got to deal with the consequences of it. But yeah, unfortunately, God gave us the free will to make choices and do what we want to do. So therefore, no one should be able to dictate to anyone what they should do. Let people be led by their own minds. Let people be able to make their own decisions. And that's what it should be, according to the Bible, according to what God, the God-given rights or whatever, the God-given gifts that He has given us, a free will. And yeah, so when it comes to this conversation about boundaries, it's like, people cross those lines, and people will cross those lines as long as you allow them to cross those lines. So what should we do, right? Especially as believers, what should we do about this issue of boundaries? Well, here's some verses that I came across this morning, and hopefully it will help us in this area. So one, Galatians 6:5, it reminds us of this here. It says, for each will have to bear his own load. If I stop right there, I mean, basically for me, when I read that this morning, it's pretty much reminding me that, hey, at the end of the day, I have to account for my own life, right? I have to account for my own choices, my own decisions. Like, no matter, and you know, I have my son and everything like that. I can pray the best for him and everything like that. But at the end of the day, at some point, you know, he's going to have to account for his own life. And it goes for my husband, it goes for any other person. Like, everybody has to account for themselves. They got their own burdens to bear. So it says here in Galatians 6:5, for each will have to bear his own load. So let's keep that in mind. I mean, hopefully that will help us with crossing lines and boundaries. But again, just something to keep in mind, just in general. Okay. So then check this out. Colossians 4:6. It says, let your speech always be gracious, seasoned with salt, so that you may know how you ought to answer each person. Now, this is one of those challenges, right? When it depends on who you are and what your struggle is. But this could be a challenge for someone that is maybe the opposite of me. Like me, I'm the type of person where I'm like, you know, certain things, it depends. It's like, I really can see to a certain extent, like, when it comes to certain people, it's like, okay, I can talk to this person, we can get some understanding, so I can I can express myself to this person, and we, if we don't agree, we can agree to disagree. Like, this is somebody that I can fully express myself to. And then I've also noticed that there's people that I can't necessarily express myself to. Maybe they don't have the understanding, maybe they don't, you know, aren't open to whatever I'm talking about and things like that. So I adjust the way that I speak to those people. You know, maybe I don't fully express myself, or maybe I don't fully express what I feel about this or that to those type of people, because it's kind of, they're not trying to have conversation. It's just talking to a brick wall. Like I've encountered that so many times in my life. So I think when I encounter people like that, I'm just like, oh, okay, you're that type of person. Okay, this is how I can handle you. So I feel like this is what that verse is telling us to do, or just to be aware of that. Hey, you're not going to be able to, talk to everybody the same way. With that being said, if you're somebody that struggles with that, like, because there's people, which I believe that there's a time and a place in the season for bold, outspoken people. I think, if you're bold and you're outspoken, I think that's a beautiful thing. Obviously, like I said, I feel like that's the opposite of me sometimes. Maybe that's something that God is working on in me or something like that, to become more bold or something. But for me, I just explained kind of how I handle stuff, right? Now, there's other people that no matter what, they're going to say what they want to say. They're going to do what they want to do, and they're going to tell you how they feel, X, Y, and Z. There's times for that and stuff. So I don't take that away at all, because there's definitely times and seasons for that to be done. And like I said, I can have an appreciation for people like that, especially when they're speaking truth. But I mean, I think that goes across the board. This verse goes across the board to both sets of people. I think, again, because then those type of people, they'll send it to wonder why they have issues, right? They're like, well, why don't that person or whatever? And this is why, like, we have to just really see people for who they are, right? And where they are, who they are and where they are. That's good right there. But yeah, we have to see people like that, because like I said, there's just people that some you can communicate with fully, and it won't be no issue, and you can actually have a conversation. It can, be a healthy dialogue. But then there's people sometimes where, if you come at them with that energy, and then it's just going to go on, and it's just going to be this thing, and it's going to become this mountain of molehills and whatnot. So again, when we're thinking about boundaries, I mean, this is just another verse that came up, and so this is, I guess, something that we had to think about, who we're talking to, who we're dealing with, and things like that. And hopefully, allowing God to show us how to navigate those conversations with whoever we're talking to. Now, let me see. Here's one, I guess, for people that are crossing boundaries, right? So here's a verse for y'all. I'm just kidding. Look, here's a verse for us, right? I don't want to take myself out of that category. Maybe somebody feels like I cross boundaries. So let's just say for people that cross lines and boundaries, here is a verse for us. Proverbs 25:17. It says, let your foot be seldom in your neighbor's house, lest he have his lest he have his fill of you and hate you. Man, listen, I tell you, sometimes verses in the Bible just take me out of here. I just be like, they just make me laugh. It's not funny. I mean, this is real. This is real. But to me, like, as I'm reading it and stuff, I'm just like, wow, this is just so blunt. And I think the bluntness was hilarious to me. Let your foot be seldom in your neighbor's house, lest he have his fill of you and hate you. Like, at the end of the day, like, again, if we keep in mind that very first verse, we all have our own burdens to bear, right? We all have to bear our own loads. So y'all know that song back in the day, sweep around your own front door before you try to sweep around mine. Like, man, sometime, or take the verse, right? That Bible verse that was like, hey, why you trying to take the sliver out of somebody's eye, take the log out of your eye, or your own eye? Y'all know them verses, man. But yeah, man, like, but we don't, I mean, there's just some people that just don't do that. They want to stay in whatever, your house, basically. And it's like, okay, let me, work out my own salvation with fear and trembling. Like, so how can I say? Sorry. Oh goodness. I don't know. Like, we just need to find balance, y'all. We need to find balance. Like, you can talk to people, you can share your opinions and all this different stuff. You can have conversations. Nothing's wrong with conversations and communication and stuff like that. I mean, now, but again, boundaries and lines get crossed when we exert ourselves into places that we shouldn't be, right? And so, yeah, I mean, it's just something to think about today, y'all. This is just something to think about today. That's all I'm saying. Let me keep going. Here's something that can help us with boundaries. Matthew 5:37. It says, "Let what you say be simply more than this comes from evil." Well, I mean, sometimes we feel the need to explain, right? Sometimes we be like, oh, you know, because no, because this, then, or yes, because this, then, like sometimes just keep it at yes and no. Again, maybe this will be a way to really clearly show, that boundary or whatever the case is. If you don't want a line to be crossed, I'll be honest, I kind of struggle with this sometimes because it's like I just really don't want to be disrespectful, you know what I mean, to my elders. I just really want to, you know, give honor and, respect to people. You know what I'm saying? Now, unfortunately, what I feel like happens with me is people don't show me that same respect, especially as an adult. It's like, okay, my yes means yes and my no means no, just like your yes means yes and your no means no. Like at the end of the day, I just feel like really people should just put yourself into whatever the situation is. Like if you wouldn't want me to cross this boundary with you, then don't cross this boundary with me. And then when we try to, set the boundary, let's not go beyond about like don't keep on going. It's like my yes is yes and my no is no, just the same. Now sometimes I feel like when we say it that blunt, it can come across as disrespect or whatever. And maybe I don't know if that's a southern thing or what, but that's just what the Bible says here. And I mean, maybe this is something I need to practice more of, just being like, hey, no explanation, no going deeper into it. My yes is yes and my no is no. But again, I'm human. I'm not perfect. These are the things that I'm trying to figure out as well. So if you're somebody like me, I'm just saying that, maybe this is something that we all need to work on. People that are like me, that, yeah, sometimes you just got to stand in what it is and let that be it. People may not appreciate that all the time, but you got to think about, for me, it's like I have to think about it. I have to think about it from the full aspect because, again, I've observed it so many times. People are totally fine with crossing boundaries with me, but then if I were to do that to them, it would be an issue. And my whole thing is, if let it be the same here. You like, then allow me to. And then I don't know. It's not that I go out of my way to do tit for tat. That's not me. I don't do that. But it's like I feel like people take advantage of people that don't do that. Like people take advantage of people like me because they know that I won't do that back to them. So then you feel comfortable treating me that way, and it's just one of those things where it's like, we just gotta, I mean, well, within ourselves, we can't change what other people do, but we can change what we receive. We can change how we react and things like that. So obviously, I guess building up our own, I guess wisdom, strength, whatever we need, in to deal with those things. But if you struggle with that, if you're someone that is struggling with people that are crossing lines and boundaries, and you're like, how can I get out of this? Then one of the ways here the word says is to, again, let our yes be yes and no be no. At the end of the day, there's one more verse I want to share. It wasn't necessarily under boundaries, but it resonated with me today. Proverbs 3:5, it says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and do not lean on your own understanding. So yeah, at the end of the day, like if you're following that, then you are trusting in the Lord, right? You are being led by God. And so if you feel like you're being led by God, then do that, friend. It may go against the grain. It may go against what, other people believe or think that you should do. But at the end of the day, if it's biblical and what God says to do, then you know that you're on the right side, regardless of how they feel. So, and then, hey, and if that's not the case for some reason or whatever, if you come out to be wrong for some reason or something like that, at the end of the day, it goes back to that very, very first verse. We each have our own, we each bear our own load. And so, it's your life, you are an individual. And it's your choice at the end of the day, like whatever it is. So I don't know. That's just my little chat about boundaries, y'all. I hope that encourages you and inspires you this morning. Because as I say sometimes, that is the juice. Now, the Bible verse of today is Philippians 4:8. It says, "Finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there be any virtue, and if there be any praise, think on these things." Friends, I hope you all enjoyed this juice this morning. Thank you so much for listening to God, Sex, and Love, your daily dose of inspirational juice. I pray you guys can go forth and have a wonderful day, and I look forward to talking to you all tomorrow, if the Lord's will. Bye-bye. Hey, hey, hey. Hello to the person that stuck out with me and watching me live. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope that you enjoyed this juice this morning. I hope that it was something that encouraged and inspired you on today. Yeah, man. Yeah, boundaries get crossed. People try to cross the lines of boundaries and whatnot, but we have to get them. We have to get boundaries. If you don't have boundaries, you have to start establishing boundaries, because this is going to be important when it comes to your life. You as an individual, it's going to be important in your marriages, and everything like that. Boundaries are important, and at the end of the day, you have to be led by your own mind, hopefully by God, yes. But you have to make your own decisions and your own choices and whatnot, especially in this season. Y'all know that there's so many things, so many different things that this can be hopefully used for. Like, there's so many topics that this could be related to. So no particular topic. I'm not going to talk about a particular thing at the moment. I'm just going to talk about what, like, again, what the word says there, and like just what we can do to help in this area, to not feel, because I've even seen people, posting about, man, because I guess it can get discouraging, where it's like, man, okay, so now I'm not allowed to have my own opinion. Like, I always wondered about that. Like, if having an opinion or whatever, it seems like if it goes against whatever the grain is, right? Or if it goes against what other people believe or something, then it's like, oh, well, so you're allowed to have your opinion, but I can't have mine. Like, that's what you're trying to say? Like, that's literally what it comes down to sometimes. It's like, so just know that God has given you freedom, when I say free will to, honestly, yes, do whatever you want to do, but the word says that we should be, led by God and should trust him and all those things. And so as you trust him, you'll see that he will direct your path. And if that, and you know what he wants you to do, what choices he wants you to make, and just go by that, y'all. And at the end of the day, when people, because they're going to do it if you allow them to do it. So when people try to cross lines and boundaries that they shouldn't cross, them, or whatnot, just do your best in that loving way to let them know that, hey, this is a boundary that that you shouldn't be crossing, or whatever case is. Like, I don't know, there's just different ways to communicate. Actually, I saw a post recently. I don't want to move my thing right now, but yeah, I saw a post recently that kind of talks about different ways to navigate those type of conversations. So I hope that helps, and it helps us today too. I believe I shared it on GSL. If not, then I will on our GSL Facebook. Maybe I'll even share it on the Instagram just to make sure it gets out there, because yeah. But all right, y'all. Well, I guess I will go on and enjoy the rest of my anniversary day. I hope that you guys enjoy this day as well. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. And I look forward to talking to you all tomorrow, if the Lord's will. Bye-bye.